Hey everyone! Today I'm going to teach you a shadow box tutorial using some mini paper flowers and a little bunny face. So you're going to need a few supplies. You're going to need a shadow box, and you can choose your own size for this. There's lots of different sizes, but a typical shadow box size I think is like about 12 to 14 inches on each side. And then you're going to need some 65-pound cardstock to make your mini paper flowers out of, and I've linked the templates below for you for the mini paper flowers. You also need a glue gun. You'll need the bunny face template, which is completely free on the blog at kirstencollections.com. That is also linked below for you. And I do highly recommend that you use a cutting machine. Trying to cut the mini flowers with scissors is almost impossible, so please use a cutting machine with this. And you'll also want either some black paint or a black pen for the bunny's eye. Okay, so I have my shadow box here, and the first thing we're going to need to do is prep the back of the shadow box. So go ahead and pull the backing off of the shadow box, and we're going to be adding some paper to the back of it so that you don't see the cardboard color of the shadow box background. So I'm just placing some cardstock onto a cutting mat, and I'm putting the back of the shadow box face down, and I'm using an X-Acto knife to just cut out the exact dimension of the backing of the shadow box. You can also use scissors if you don't have an X-Acto knife, but you just want to get as accurate of a cut as you can. Okay, so we got that taken care of, and the next step is going to be to get it to adhere to the backing of the shadow box. So you can use glue for this. I have some mounting tape on hand, so I'm actually just going to put mounting tape in the corners, and I'm going to place the cardstock on top of that so that it stays nice and secure. But glue can work as well, so if you don't have this, don't feel like you have to use it. It's just what I had on hand. Go ahead and smooth your cardstock on, and then when you're done with that, just place it aside for now because we're going to start making some stuff for the inside of the box. So we're going to work on the bunny's face here, and this template is on the blog like I mentioned earlier, and I'm just using some black paint and a dotting tool, which is also known as my Paper Blooms rolling tool set, to dot some little black eyes onto the round circle bunny face. If you don't have paint or don't want to use paint, you can also use like a black pen. So any of that will work. I'm just making some simple eyes here, keeping it real easy and simple. And then once you've done that, go ahead and pick up your round bunny face, and we're going to make it a little bit more three-dimensional by cutting slits at the bottom to the left and to the right, angled inward at a 45-degree angle. Just cut about 3/4 of an inch deep. It doesn't have to be perfect, but around there and you will be fine. And go ahead and just overlap slightly on each side with some glue. And when you do this, it kind of creates a little bunny chin basically, and makes the bunny a little bit more three-dimensional rather than flat. And you'll want to set this aside for a little bit just to let the eyes dry before you mess with it too much more. Moving on next to the bunny ears, there's 2 layers to the bunny ears, and I do a white layer on the bottom and a little pink layer for the inside of the ear. And you're just going to glue those 2 together, just layer them together. It's real easy and simple. Do that with both the ears. And then to make our ears look a little bit more three-dimensional like the bunny face, we're going to cut a little tiny slit at the bottom of each ear. And you're going to overlap. It's probably not going to be much more than 1/2 inch deep on the slit there. So just overlap slightly, and that's going to make the ear a little bit more three-dimensional like we did with the bunny face. So do that with both ears. And then attaching the ears is really easy. You're just going to add a little dot of glue to the bottom of the ear and then place it behind the face of the bunny. it should meet up nicely because of the curve at the bottom there where we cut our slit. The little bunny face is starting to come together now, and then we're going to add the little nose on, and this comes with the template, so you can just add a dot of glue and place that on his face. You can also use like a runner photo tape if you don't want to use hot glue for the nose, but I generally just use hot glue and just put a little dot and stick it on his face that way. And then you can, of course, draw some whiskers onto your bunny if you want to, which I do later on off camera, but you can add that as well. Okay, next we're going to work on some mini flowers, and I have a whole new set of mini flower templates in the shop, and there's no exact right way to do this. It's really just about cutting out some layers and layering them together and using your fingers to just create that 3D dimension by folding the petals upwards. So with this one I have here, I'm just taking 4 pieces of this one, and this could be like a chrysanthemum sort of style, a mini chrysanthemum, and I'm just using my fingers to bend the petals up, and we're going to layer these 4 together after we've bent the petals up, and that's just going to create that 3D look for our flower. And using your fingers is best here because you're working with paper that is really small cuts, so trying to use tools can be a little tricky, so your fingers are just best. With this particular flower, for the center piece there, I'm just squeezing the bottom a little bit to get it to be really nice and tight. As I layer the layers together, it will look like it's blooming, and it'll have a tight center inwards. So I'm just placing one on top of the other after adding a dot of glue. These are really basic. There's nothing too hard or fancy here. It's just a matter of layering the petal cuts together and doing what looks best to you. And there are several different styles included in the SVG for these mini flowers, so you can mix and match them for a bunch of different styles. And like I said, there's no right way to do it really. It's just a matter of layering the petals together to create different looks. And the size of these work really well for shadow boxes, because you need to have those really tiny flowers because shadow boxes aren't very big usually. So this is just some other examples I'm showing you here, and I'm going to put up a whole other video on mini flowers next week, but these are just very, very basic, as I've said, and you can have a lot of fun with them. So just be creative with it. Okay, now for the fun part of getting to assemble your shadow box. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to place everything. I don't want you to add glue or tape or anything down that's going to be adhering anything yet. I just want you to play with it and place it to where you're happy with it, because you don't get a do-over once you put it down. So it's best to play around with how you want the flowers positioned, where do you want the greenery positioned, all that stuff, making sure that your bunny face fits in around the flowers correctly. You want to play with all that before you decide to glue it down. And the best thing I recommend doing is, once you're happy with the way things look, just grab your phone and take a picture of it, and then remove all the flowers off of the back of the shadow box, and then you can glue each one down while following the picture that you took. That way you know you'll get it accurate and you'll be happy with it in the end. Okay, so I've reached a point now where I was happy with everything, and then I went back and I glued it down. So I'm just gluing down a few of my last flowers here along the top, and I've glued down my greenery, and all that, and I'm just using hot glue to place these flowers. If there's another type of glue you want to use, you can of course do that. If there's another glue you prefer when you make shadow boxes, go ahead and comment below and tell me what that is. I'd love to know. I just generally always use hot glue, so that's just what I always suggest and opt for because it works pretty well. So just finish up with your flowers like I'm doing here with mine, and then when you go to place your little bunny face, you're going to want to place him right in the center, and to add glue to him, you're going to want to add glue on the back side right where his ears meet the face, because that's going to be the place where it meets the backing of the shadow box very effortlessly. So go ahead and add your glue right on the back side of those ears, and then place him down in the center. And you don't have to add a bunny face to this if you don't want. You can make another animal. You could put some sort of text there if you wanted to instead, or just make a whole box full of flowers if you wanted to as well. One other lesson that I did learn when making this shadow box is to be very conscious of how close you're putting your paper flowers to the edge of the shadow box. Even if it looks like they're fitting quite comfortably on the inside, you may want to kind of check that as you're going with the shadow box itself, because when I went to place mine in, I still struggled a little bit with not crunching the very tip of the flower where it meets the edge. So that was just a lesson learned from this project that I don't want you to make the same mistake. Just be very conscious of not placing those little flowers at the edge too close, or it's going to run into your shadow box frame and you don't want crunched flowers. So I'm happy with the placement of everything with my flowers and my bunny face. So the last thing to do is just to put the frame back over it from the shadow box. So I generally just lay that down and then place it over from the back. And you're all done. That's how easy it is to make a really beautiful shadow box for springtime. I really hope you guys enjoy this. Please feel free to share and subscribe. See you soon. Find freebies on AbbiKirstenCollections.com or shop these mini flower templates on CatchingColorflies.com.